Dear students, I'm Dr. Jangres Khan, and today we have our lecture number 4 of the subject of the human resource management and development. Today, we are starting a new unit, factors affecting the employee behavior. If you remember in the previous lecture, we discussed the organizational behavior, organizational culture. Today we will study those factors which affect the behavior of the employees working within an organization, and out of the many factors, we will just consider the 3 factors: the motivation, commitment, and employment. We will discuss these one by one in detail in today's lecture. First, we come to the first factor, that is the motivation. Dear students, the motivation is the word derived from the word motive. And what is motive? Motive means needs, desires, wants, drives within an individual. Whether the individual can be the lower level management, it can be the management, it can be the lower level employee, it can be the employees of the different sections. It is the process of stimulating people to the actions to accomplish the goals. So we can say that different people may have different motive. They may have desire for money, they may have the desire for success, they may have the desire for recognition. Some people need job satisfaction. Some people want to work in teams, in the groups. This means that the motivation is an integral part of the organization. We know that organization, irrespective of the industry and size, strive to create a strong and positive relationship with their employees. All the organizations, whether they are small organization or large organization, they try their best to have good relationships with the employees. Employees have various competing needs that are driven by different motivators. For example, some employees are motivated by rewards, while others focus on the achievement or security. As I discussed in the beginning of this topic, that the different people have different desires. Some people may be interested in the rewards. They may be interested in increase of their compensation package. They may be interested in some may be interested in recognition. Some may be interested in some other motive. They have different motives. So the motives are that the employees differ from employee to employee. Therefore, it is essential for an organization and its managers to understand what really motivate its employees if they intend to maximize the organizational performance. Those organizations, those managers who want to improve, they want to the optimum level of the organizational performance, they will have to emphasize on, they will have to focus on, they will have to concentrate on the motivation of the employees. Motivation is the force that energizes, directs, and sustains behavior. Is defined it in the beginning that motivation is an integral part of the employee behavior, and it is the motivation that energizes, that creates interest in the employee, that gives way, that gives direction to the employee regarding his work. High performance is achieved by well motivated people when are prepared to exercise discretionary effort independently do more than it's expected of them. Now let us come to the term motivation. What does motivation mean? The term motivation derives from Latin word for moment, movere, and a motive is a reason for doing something. Some people may be doing for rewards, some may be doing for job security, some may be doing for recognition, some may be doing for some other reasons. It is a process which energizes, directs, and sustains human behavior. In the human resource management, the term refers to person's desire to do the best possible job or to exert the maximum effort to perform assigned task. An important feature of the motivation is that it is behavior directed towards goals. Motivation is, in other words, you can say that motivation is the strength and direction of the behavior and the factors that influence people to behave in certain ways. People are motivated when they expect that a course of action is likely to lead to the attainment of a goal and a valued reward, one that satisfies their needs and wants. It is we defined earlier too that the people are interested in their own goals. They are interested in their own motives. If they are motivated, this means that they are sure that their own goals will be met. According to Latham 2004, it refers to internal factors that compel action and to external factors that can act as incentive to the action. Means motivation is the summation of the internal factors and external factors. Internal factors means that the employees do a job, the employees do an activity, the employees take interest due to their own internal feelings, their internal joy, their internal interest, their interest and their willingness. And all these no financial reward, but their own interest, their own joy. They feel joyful. They are willing without any doing so, without any reward. They are loyal to that particular firm, or they may like to work in an environment. So they do well. They are motivated due to this, to the internal factors. The external factors are like the incentives given to the employees, like in the form of reward, like in the form of compensation, in the form of promotion, in the other forms as well. Types of motivation. We have two types of the motivation: intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation is the act of doing something without any obvious external reward. Internal factors. Motivation due to the internal factors. Intrinsic motivation is due to internal factors. Means that no rewards are needed for the intrinsic motivation. The employees do it because it is enjoyable, interesting, rather than because of outside incentive, pressure to do it, such as reward or deadline. These are the external factors. The employees do it, the job, they take interest in the job, not because of this reward or deadline or recognition, but they feel enjoyable and interesting in that. Intrinsic motivation takes place when individuals feel that their work is important, interesting, challenging, and that it provides them with reasonable degree of autonomy, that is freedom, opportunities to achieve, advance, scope to use and develop their skills and abilities. Means that intrinsic motivation occurs when the employees feel free, when they see opportunities to achieve, when they have a certain degree of autonomy, when they feel that their job is interesting. They do it willingly, not because of the external factors, but due to the internal factors. Michael 2012 remarked that when people are engaged in an activity they consider intrinsically worthwhile, offering money may weaken their motivation by crowding out their intrinsic interest or commitment. Sometimes, if the employees have intrinsic motivation, that if you offer them reward, it may discourage them. It may weaken their motivation. If a person is intrinsically motivated, He or she will engage in action because it is enjoyable and he or she finds it inherently interesting. Ricci and Ryan, 1980. Similarly, Pink 2009 stated that Pink 2009 stated that there are three types that managers can take to improve the motivation. That is, we are talking about the intrinsic motivation. Autonomy is the top one. Autonomy is the one, as we discussed in the previous slide too, that if the employees feel autonomous, they feel free, they have the freedom, then they will be motivated. Autonomy means to encourage the people to set their own schedule and focus on getting work done, not how it is done, not directed, but they do it due to their own will. Mastery is the second. If the certain people feel that they are master in doing their jobs, they will take interest in it, and they have they feel it interesting. They think it enjoyable because they have mastery in that particular activity. So the manager should help the people to identify the steps that can take to improve and ask them to identify how they will know they are making progress. Third one is a factor which Pink 2009 highlighted is the purpose. When giving instructions, explain why as well as how. That if the employees know the purpose of their activity, the purpose of their job, the purpose of their course of action, then they will be intrinsically motivated. They will be motivated due to the internal factors. Dear students, the second type of the motivation is extrinsic motivation, and it is the motivation due to the external factors. It occurs when things are done or for the people in order to motivate them. Means external factors motivate the employees to do or perform a specific activity. These can be in form of the rewards such as incentives, increased pay, praise, promotion, and punishment such as disciplinary action, withholding pay, or the criticism. On the other hand, intrinsically motivated individual actions are driven by a goal. The next subtopic of the motivation is the theories of the motivation. These theories have been taken from the handout of the virtual university. Motivation theories seek to explain why employees are motivated by and satisfied by one type of work than other. These motivation theories have been presented by different scholars. They show that why the employees are motivated in one form or one type of the work rather than other. It is essential that managers have a basic understanding of motivation, because highly motivated employees are more likely to produce a superior quality product or service than employees with lack of motivation. Out of the theories of the motivation, the first and well-known theory is the Maslow need hierarchy. Maslow identified 5 major types of the human needs into a hierarchy. The need hierarchy illustrates Maslow's conception of the people satisfying their needs in a specified order from bottom to top. He ordered the human needs, different types of need, and arranged it in ascending order. And these range from the physiological need to the self-actualization needs. The first type of the needs which have been identified by the Maslow are physiological needs, the needs which are necessary for the physical existence of the human beings. That is food, water, shelter. After the physiological needs, The next type of the needs are safety or security need, that is protection against threat and deprivation. Then the third type of the needs are social needs. That is human beings, they need friendship, affection, belonging, and love. And the fourth type of the need which Maslow has identified for the employees is ego, independence, achievement, freedom, status, recognition, self-esteem. And the last type of the needs which the Maslow theory identifies is self-actualization, realizing one's full potential, becoming everything one is capable of being. Look at this figure. This is from bottom to top, the arrangement of the needs set by the Maslow: physiological, the desire for food, shelter, clothing, security. So far the employees are concerned, they need job security. Social, the desire for affiliation and acceptance. Self-esteem, the desire for status and position. Self-actualization, the desire for following life and fulfill one's potential. So, according to Maslow, the need theory, this is the order from bottom to the top. The first most important need is the desire for shelter, food, and clothing. When this need is met, then the job security. When this is met, the social need. Then the self-esteem, and at the end, the self-actualization need. Existence, relatedness, and growth, ERG theory. This was presented by Herzberg in 1972. This is a very convincing and simple theory which shows, which describes three basic categories of the needs after the Maslow need theory. If these needs are met, then definitely employees will be motivated. Out of these, the first is the existing needs such as hunger and thirst, just the food and shelter noted by the Maslow. Fringe benefits and work conditions are other types of the existing needs. If they are paid well and work conditions are good, they will be able to pay for their hunger and the thirst. The second type of the need is the relatedness needs, which acknowledge that the people are not self-contained units but must be engaged in transaction with their human environment. Acceptance, understanding, confirmation, and influence are the elements of relatedness process. Means that the employees are human beings, the people, they need the human environment, they should be accepted, they should be the managers should understand the employees, and they should be acknowledged. Growth needs, which involve people in finding opportunities to be what they are most fully and to become what they can. This is the most significant need. In the ARG theory, the third type of need is the growth need, that the people are curious about the opportunities. If they see that the opportunities to grow are present in the system, then they will be motivated more. If there are less opportunities, then they will be less interested. McLean achievement motivation theory. It was presented in 1961 and by the series of managers, and he also the theory also identified three needs, of which the need for achievement was the most important. This theory also identifies certain needs, and the first is the need for achievement. Defined is the need for competitive success made against a person's standard of excellence. Similarly, the need for affiliation defined as the need for warm, friendly, and compassionate relationship with others, and the need for power defined as the need to control or influence others. If we compare it with the previous two theories, with the ERG and the Maslow theory. Some of the concepts described here are more or less similar to those that they need for achievement. That they need competitive success, which is measuring a personal standard of excellence. Similarly, they need warm, friendly, and very good relations, and they need power. They need autonomy. Cognitive navigation. This theory was presented by Deci and Ryan in 1985, and the use of, according to the authors, the use of extension rewards may destroy the intrinsic motivation that flows from inherent job interest. According to this theory, the intrinsic rewards are not the only way to motivate the employees. Sometimes, if there is intrinsic motivation among the employees, they have internal desire for their to work. They are interested in. They feel interested. They feel joyful in the job, in an activity, due to their internal factors. And then, but if they are working hard due to internal factors, and they are offered rewards, intrinsic rewards, then possibly it may harm their intrinsic motivation. This theory insists the importance of non-financial rewards, and the conclusion read from the authors have been questioned too. Reinforcement theory, Thorndike presented in 1911. According to the Thorndike, over time people learn about the relationships between their actions and the consequences of them, and this understanding guides their future behavior. According to Thorndike, the people learn through practice. When they work enough, they learn the relationship between actions and consequences, how they react and what is the result. And this understanding leads them for future behavior. This understanding, this experience, lead them to formulate their mind to set their mind for the future behavior. In other words, if they believe that something has worked previously, then they do it again. Four key consequences of behavior either encourage or discourage of the people behavior due to according to the reinforcement theory are: positive reinforcement, applying a valued consequence that increases the likelihood that person will repeat the behavior that led to do it. Means that the people they will repeat a behavior if they find a positive result. Examples of positive reinforcement include compliments, letters of commendation, favorable performance evaluation, and pay raises. The people, once they do a job, once they do an activity, once they do well, if they are compensated, they are issued letters of commendation. If they are praised, if they have very good performance evaluation, it is the achievements are counted in the performance evaluation. Then they will be willing to reinforce the action. Negative reinforcement, removing or withholding an undesirable consequence. For example, a manager takes an employee, a student of a school takes a student off probation because of improved performance. Frequent threatening memos admonished people to achieve every one of their many performance goals. Similarly, punishment is another reinforcement, administering an aversive consequence. Examples include criticizing and shouting at an employee, assigning an unappealing task, or sending a worker home without pay. Negative reinforcement can involve the threat of punishment but not delivering it when employees perform satisfactorily. Punishment is actually delivery of the aversive consequence if an employee do something wrong, if they against the interest of the organization, then if he is punished, he or she is punished, or he is criticized, he is issued a letter of explanation, or some other type of the punishment is given. Pay cut can also be one of a stoppage of an increment. It can also be a type of the punishment. Extinction, withholding, or failing to provide an enforceable consequence. When this occurs, motivation is reduced and the behavior is extinguished and or eliminated. Example include not giving a compliment for a job well done, forgetting to say thanks for a favor, or setting impossible performance goals so that the person never experiences the success. Thus, effective managers give positive reinforcement to their high-performing people and negative. Herzberg two-factor approach. This is another theory of the motivation, which divides the Maslow hierarchy into lower level and high level set of needs. According to this theory, the best way to provide motivation for an employee is to offer to satisfy the person's higher needs, order needs, ego, and self-actualization. Herzberg say that lower needs or hygiene factors are different from high order needs or motivators. He maintains that adding more hygiene factors to the job is very bad way to motivate because lower order needs are quickly satisfied. These were a few theories of the motivation, which shows in which we discussed how the employees can be motivated, what are the different factors discussed by different scholars, different writers, which can help the managers to motivate their employees. We have different methods for motivating employees for employees' satisfaction. There are different methods, different ways, different techniques to motivate the employees, and one of such technique is the rewards. People behave in ways that believe are in their best interest. They constantly look for payoffs from their efforts. They expect good job performance to lead to organizational goal attainment, which in turn lead to satisfying their individual goals or needs. Organization then use reward to motivate the people. If the organization feels that the employees are not very interested, or they do something well, they give a very good performance, then in order to motivate those employees to continue the performance, to improve further their importance, their performance, they are offered rewards. Challenging jobs. The second factor, a second way to motivate the employees can be the challenging jobs. Job design refers to the number and nature of activities in a job. The key issue is whether jobs should be more specialized or more enriched and non-routine. Job design has been implemented in several ways, forming natural work groups, combining tasks, establishing client relationships, vertically loading the job, and having open feedback channels may implement job enrichment. Using merit pay. A merit raise is a salary increase, usually permanent, that is based on the employee individual performance. It is continuing increment rather than a single payment like a bonus. Relying heavily on the merit reward can be a problem because the reinforced benefit of this merit pay is usually determined once a year. Using merit pay is another way to motivate the employees, but this provides an incentive to the employees, but this is a better offer than the bonus, because it is a permanent, while bonus is the temporary. But one of the disadvantages of such type of the incentive can be that it is offered once a year. So it will be very difficult to motivate the employee around the year for this type of the reward. Using spot awards. A spot award is one given to an employee as soon as laudable performance is observed. If the manager observes that a good performance has been shown by an employee, then the employee should be rewarded on the spot. These rewards are consistent with the principle of motivation because they are contingent on good performance and are awarded immediately. These are better than the using merit pay, because in this the manager sees that good performance is shown, and if the good performance is shown, then this good performance can be rewarded as on the basis of the on the spot reward. Using skill-based pay, we see that different types of the people work in organization. The skills are not same. All the employees are not equally skilled. So with skill-based pay, employees are paid for the range, depth, and type of the skills and knowledge they are capable of using, rather than for the job they are currently hold. They are paid on the basis of the skills, not on the basis of the job they hold. Skill-based pay is consistent with the motivation theory because people have self-concept in which they seek to fulfill their potential. They are paid according to their ability. They are paid according to the skills. If the employees are paid according to the skills, according to their experience, competencies, then definitely it will motivate the employees. Using recognition. Recognition is also an important method, a technique to motivate the employees. If they do something good, if they something best, they show a high performance, they should be recognized. Some employees are highly valued day to day. Some employees highly value day-to-day recognition from their supervisors, peers, and team members because it is important for their work to be appreciated by others. They are interested in appreciation. So if when they do good and they are appreciated by their supervisor, their peers, and team members, they will work hard. Recognition helps satisfy the need people have to achieve and be recognized for their achievement. Using using a job redesign. Job design refers to the number and nature of the activities in a job. The key issue is whether the job should be more specialized or more enriched or non-routine. So if the employees are laying the motivation, and then the manager should go for one of use the job redesign technique and see that what are the laps in the job design. So in the job redesign, the deficiencies are removed, and the interest of the employee is also taken into account. Using empowerment means giving employees the authority, tool, information they need to do their jobs with the greater autonomy as well as the self-confidence to perform new job effectively. Empowerment boosts employees' feelings of self-efficacy, enables them to use their potential more fully. Another method, technique for motivating the employee is using the goal setting method. People are strongly motivated to achieve goals they consciously set. Setting goals with the employees can be a very effective way of motivating them. Goals should be clear, specific, measurable, verifiable, and challenging but realistic. And set with the participation means that while setting the goals, the consent of the employees should also be taken. They should be included in the process of the goal setting. because in this way they will feel empowered, they will feel autonomous, they will feel they will be entrusted because they have been part of the setting goal process. Using reinforcement. Positive reinforcement programs rely on operant conditioning principles to supply positive reinforcement and change behavior. Experts claim that it is better to focus on improving desirable behavior rather than on decreasing undesirable ones. There are a variety of the consequences, including social consequences, intrinsic consequences, and intrinsic consequences. Continuing the lecture, challenges of subtopic is challenges of motivating employees. Means the managers, they find certain problems, certain challenges in motivating employees, in motivation of the employees. And because motivation is not a simple subject, nor to respond to precisely the same set of motivators, managers face several pressing issues that complicate the challenging of motivating their employees. This is not simple to motivate the employees. There are different challenges, there are different problems which the manager face in order to motivate their employees. And out of these challenges, the first one is the workforce diversity. We know that the composition of the workforce is becoming less homogeneous. This diversity complicates the task of protecting employees because managers must consider so many more motivational variables, especially this the case of the multinational organizations. Those organizations which work in many country multinationals, they face the workforce diversity because the people not the working force doesn't belong to a particular culture, a particular area, a particular region. There is a different types of the diversity, the cultural diversity, the language diversity, the knowledge diversity, the skill diversity, the type of the diversity are there. So the first challenge which the manager face in motivation of the employees is the workforce diversity. Second is organizational restructuring. The wave of the mergers and acquisition is followed by massive layoffs that present another challenge. Employees who have been let to go for reasons unrelated to their performance may question whether initiative or creativity are no less important than the political survival skills. Moreover, employees who have been colleagues or loss of their jobs may concentrate on keeping their own jobs and may stop taking interest. This is another very important factor that we see the mergers and the acquisitions in the different organizations, and as a result we see that some of the people are thrown off, and those who are left, they have different issues due to this restructuring. An oversupply of managers sometimes they also have in the middle and top ranks of the management quite different phenomena is causing organizational headaches. The number of senior management position is far fewer than the number of the deserving candidate, and the trend towards flatter organizations only makes a matter worse for the people who want to climb the hierarchical ladder. This was the first, we discussed the first factor affecting the employee behavior in detail, that is the motivation, in which we studied the motivation, the theories of motivations, and the challenges, the types of motivation. The next factor which affect the employee behavior is the commitment. And I will start this with a well-known quote: Commitment is what transforms a promise into a reality. Coming to the definition of the commitment represents the strength of an individual identification with an environment in an organization. It is the strength of an individual, it is the strength of an employee, how much he is involved within that particular organization. Guest 1987 suggested HRM policies are designed to maximize organizational integration, employee commitment, flexibility, quality of work. Commitment refers to the attachment and loyalty. The commitment of the employee means that how much this employee value the organization and how much loyal he is with this organization. It is associated with the feelings of individual about their organization. This is the feelings of commitment is the feeling of organization individual, the feelings of the employee toward the organization. Organizational commitment is a better predictor of the employee turnover than his job satisfaction, as well as indication that committed employees may perform better than the uncommitted ones. Another definition is that it is an individual psychological attachment to the organization. This is why the employee is attached to that particular organization. Mode in 1998 stated that it is characterized by emotional attachment to one's organization that result from shared values and interests. The three characteristics of commitment identified by Mode 1982 are a strong desire to remain a member of organization, a strong belief in acceptance of the values and goals of organization, a readiness to exert a considerable effort on the behalf of the organization. Means that there are three major characteristics of the commitment that the employee feel that he want to remain, that he want to attach to this particular firm or organization, and he believed he accepts all the goals of the organization values, and he is ready to exert considerable effort on the behalf of the organization. The organizational commitment consists of the continuous commitment, normative commitment, and effective commitment. It is a combination of these three types of the commitment. Continuous commitment means working for an organization because you cannot afford to leave it. Normative commitment means continue working for an organization because you face pressure from others to remain. And continue effective commitment is to continue working for an organization because you agree with it and desire to remain with here. These are the kind of the commitment that are these are the kinds of commitment that lead to forms of the organizational commitment, kinds of the organizational commitment, and discussed in the previous slide. There are certain factors which affect the organization, the employee's commitment, and what are those factors? These have been differently stated by different scholars. The first one is a strategic level, supporting business strategies, top management value commitment, and effective voice for HR in strategy making and governance. The employees will be committed if their voice is their suggestions are included in the strategies, the business strategies designed for that particular organization. Functional or human resource level, staffing based on employee stabilization and investment in training and development and continued compensation that reinforces cooperation and participation and contribution. This is the commitment which is based on the employee stabilization and investment in training. Training is provided, training and development is provided. There are chances for the compensation, and there are too much cooperation, participation, and contribution at the organizational level. Workplace level selection based on high standard, broad task design, teamwork, employee involvement in problem solving, and a climate of cooperation and trust will lead to the organizational commitment. Policy 2003 identified the following factors that influence the level of the commitment. that is received last year, trading last year. If the trading is regularly imparted, then commitment will increase. Satisfied with the career opportunities, if that particular organization has the career opportunities for the employees, then he will be committed. Satisfied with the performance appraisal system, in each organization we see that there is an annual performance appraisal system. If the employee is satisfied with that performance appraisal system, performance evaluation method, then he will be committed. Think managers are good in people management if they are closely attached with their leadership, with their managers, and they find that the managers are loyal to them. They give time, they give consent. The managers they value the suggestion of the employees. Then they will be committed. Find their work challenging. Another way of this employee commitment is whether the job they are having is challenging or not. I think their firm helps them achieve a work-life balance, and if satisfied with the communication and company performance, then they will be committed. Our next subtopic in this factor commitment is developing a commitment strategy. How to develop a commitment strategy? A commitment strategy can be based on the high commitment model, incorporating policies and practices in the areas of HR, such as job design, learning, development, career planning, performance management, reward management, participation, communication, employee well-being. All these factors lead to the commitment. All these factors should be undertaken while developing a commitment strategy. HR should play a major part in developing a high commitment organization, and there are 10 steps which should be kept in mind while developing such type of the strategy, and these are communicate the values, aims of management and the achievement of the organization to employees so that they are proud to work for. If you communicate the values, you communicate the aims, communicate the goals with the employees, then it will be easy to make them committed. Similarly, emphasize to management, the commitment is two-way process. Employees cannot be expected to commit it to organization unless management demonstrates that it is committed to them and recognizes their contribution as stakeholders. Means that the first one is to communicate, give them participation in the setting of the values and aims, and secondly, that make sure to the employees that it is they should understand that the commitment is a two-way process. You can't expect from the employee if you can't support the employee. So treat them in such a way that they consider them as a part of the organization. A third way is to impress on management the need to develop a climate of trust by being honest with the people, treating them fairly, justly, consistently, and keeping its word, and showing willingness to listen their comment. This is also very important, that if you give them value, to give a value to their comment, give value to their suggestions, if you are honest to them, if you do what you have promised, then they will be committed. Develop a positive psychological contact with treating people as stakeholders, relying on consensus and cooperation rather than control and coercion. Another way to make the employees committed is to have psychological contact with them. Treat the employees in such a way that they consider themselves as a part of the organization. They think them as a stakeholders. They think them as a part of the system. The fifth one is advice on the establishment of partnership agreements with the trade unions that emphasize the unity of purpose, common approaches to working together, and the importance of giving employees a voice in the matter of their concern. The management should also be in contact with the unions that safeguard the interests of the employees. Recommend and take part in the achievement of the senior status for employees so that there is no longer us and them culture. Encourage management to declare a policy of the employment security because narrated as described in the theories of the motivation and commitment that the employees need job security. So the management should have a clear-cut policy of the employment security. Develop performance management processes that provide for the alignment of organizational and individual objectives. Similarly, adopt policy of recognition, reward, and profit sharing, enhance employee job engagement, identification of employees with the job they are doing through job design process, and aim to create a higher level of job satisfaction. The third factor which affect the employee behavior after the commitment and the motivation is the employee engagement. Now let us discuss in detail what the employment engagement is. Employment engagement is about staff. It takes place when employees show interest in their jobs and are willing to exert an extra discretionary effort to get the required results. It is not for the organization and comes from the internal motivation. However, the benefits do reach the organization. It is a phenomenon in which the organization, the employees are internally motivated and they were heard, and they are internally motivated, but the benefits not only accrue to the employees but to the organization as well. According to the Herter 2002, engagement is the individual's environment and satisfaction with as well as enthusiasm for work. While Mackey in 2009 defined engagement as an individual purpose, focus, strategy, energy, evident to others in the display of personal initiative, adaptability, effort, and persistence directed toward organizational goals. There are components of employee engagement. Engagement can be regarded as having three overlapping components: motivation, commitment, and organizational citizenship behavior. It is employee engagement is actually the combination of the motivation, commitment, and organizational citizenship behavior. A model of engagement containing these components produced by the Institute for Employee Studies, Armstrong et al., 2010, is shown in the figure. This is engagement is actually the combination of the commitment, organizational citizenship, and the motivation. Engagement and commitment. The concept of commitment and engagement are closely related. According to Robinson et al. 2004, while the engagement contains many of the elements of the commitment, it is not a perfect match. Some authors refer to the concept of employee engagement as a term that broadly equates with the notion of the high commitment. Similarly, engagement and motivation element in engagement is intrinsic. Means in engagement the intrinsic or internal motivation is a part of the engagement. Engagement involves intrinsic motivation. Behaviour et al. 2009 commented that when the work itself is meaningful, it is said to have intrinsic motivation. This means that it is not for the pay or recognition that he is positive feelings of the engagement, but the work itself. There are the means that this is because of the internal factors. The intrinsic motivation, which are internal factors that the people, the employees, they like the organization, they are interested in it, they have mastered it, as due to some other factor. They also pointed out that the engaged employees feel that their jobs are an important part of what they are. Organizational behavior is employee behavior that goes above and beyond the call of duty and contributes to organizational effectiveness. It is discretionary and not explicitly recognized by the employee organization's formal reward system. Drivers of employee engagement is another subtopic. That what are the factors which lead to the employee engagement. contribute to the employee engagement drivers of the employee engagement. The first one is the job challenge. This takes place when the scope of the job is broad, job responsibility is high, and there is high work load. It enhances engagement because it creates potential for accomplishment and personal growth. Those employees who are like challenging jobs, if they are given their job, then definitely it leads to the employee engagement. Autonomy is discussed in the previous theories, that the theories of motivation, that autonomy or the freedom, the independence and discretion allowed to employees in scheduling their work and determining the procedure for carrying it out. It provides a sense of ownership and control over the outcomes. If the management gives autonomy to the employees, then they will think themselves as owners. They will give them a good relief. They will feel them free. They will feel them autonomy, and all this lead to the employee engagement. Variety. Jobs which allow individuals to perform many different activities or use many different skills. Sometimes the nature of the job is such that an individual have to perform not a particular activity, but he'll have to different activities, or he will have to use different skills in order to perform a specific activity. Then if it is so, then he will be it will lead to the employee engagement. Feedback provide employee with direct and clear information about the effectiveness of their performance. Fit. The existence of compatibility between individual and the work environment, which allows the individual to behave in a manner consistent with how they see or want to see themselves. And opportunities for the development also due to employee engagement. These make work meaningful because they provide pathways for employee growth and fulfillment. If they have opportunities for the development, if they have they have the opportunity to develop their skills, they get a promotion, they have good they have career ladder, then definitely this will lead to the employee engagement. Reward and recognition, these are represent both direct and indirect returns on personal investment on one time in acting out a work role, and this is rewards and recognition is another way of the employee engagement. The mean of factor which lead to the employee engagement. If the rewards are given on the achievements, if they do something better, if they show a good performance, they show best performance, and they are recognized, they are rewarded, then they will think them part of the organization, they will be loyal to the organization, they will be committed to the organization. The employee engagement lead to certain outcomes which are in the favor of the organization: lower absenteeism and higher employee retention. That it will reduce the willful absenteeism if they are engaged. Increase employee effort and productivity, improved quality and reduced error rates, increased sales, higher profitability, earning per share, and share returns, enhanced customer satisfaction and loyalty, faster business growth, and higher likelihood of the business success are some of the results of some of the outcomes of the employee engagement, and these are the different sources from which this lecture has been derived. It includes the major contribution from the Armstrong book, the different editions of the Armstrong book, and there are some other books and the articles, and you can go for these references in order to get more details of this lecture.